Everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a review on the Dominique Cosmetics Latte 2 eyeshadow palette. If you do want to see a review and a demo, please keep watching. This eyeshadow palette retails for $42 on dominiquecosmetics.com and at Sephora. I purchased mine at my local Sephora. I do want to read a little bit about this eyeshadow palette. It does say an essential everyday neutral mocha scented palette with pops of color that can take any look from casual to cute to full glam. Here's a closer look on what the eyeshadow palette packaging looks like. It says Dominique Cosmetics on the front. And then when you turn the packaging over, it does say Latte 2. And then you do have the shade names here on the upper right hand corner. You have a list of the ingredients, and then you do have the Dominique Cosmetics Instagram and Facebook at the bottom. Let's go ahead and open this eyeshadow palette up. Here's what the actual eyeshadow palette looks like. It says Latte 2 and then Dominique Cosmetics on it. You flip it over to the back, it says dominiquecosmetics.com, and then it has their social media handles as well. Go ahead and open up the eyeshadow palette. We have all 10 eyeshadow shades. It does come with this plastic protector to protect the eyeshadows. It comes with a mirror. Here's a closer look on what all 10 shades look like. First shade is called Cafecito, described as a deep rust red brown with flecks. Not as smooth and buttery in the pan, it is a bit scratchy. It's super pigmented. I do have the original Latte palette, and if this formula is the exact same, I know I'm gonna love it. The second shade is called Coffee Beans, another matte shade in the palette. It is described as a deep chocolate brown shade. Next shade is called Café con Leche. It's described as a warm pink / peach shade, very smooth and soft in the pan. The next shade is called Frothy, described as a cream shade. I do want to build up the shade in Frothy, and let's blend it out as well. I don't like how the shade in Frothy swatches. The next shade is called Blonde Roast. It's described as a muted yellow. The next shade is called Drizzle. Drizzle is described as a bronze with silver flecks. Here's what Drizzle looks like. Drizzle is so pigmented. The next shade is called Iced Coffee. It's described as a deep chocolate brown with gold and silver flecks. Iced Coffee is so soft and buttery in the pan. The next shade is called Frappe. It's described as a pale pink with silver flecks. I do want to build up the shadow and blend it out as well. The next shade is called Strawberry Milk, described as a muted pink. Here's what strawberry milk looks like swatched on the back of my hand. It's not as pigmented, so I do want to build it up and blend it out. And the last shade in the palette is called Matcha. Matcha is described as a pale green shade. I'm going to build up the shade in Matcha and we'll blend it out as well. Here we have all 10 shades swatched on the back of my hand. Now we're going to create a look using this eyeshadow palette. Taking a fluffy brush, we're going to dip into the shade Cafecito. We're going to be applying that on our outer V. Wow, this shade is super pigmented. I used way too much pressure on my brush, so definitely go in with a light hand. I'm slowly packing the shade in Cafecito and then blending it towards my lid. I'm going to be doing the same thing for the other eye. I used too much product on the left side of my eye, so I'm going to be taking a clean brush and blending it out. I tried to blend out the left side of my eye as the best as I could, but for right now we're just going to work with it. Taking a flat brush, we're going to dip into the shade Cafecito. We're going to be applying that shade all over the lid. Here's what the shade in Cafecito looks like. I do think that the shade in Cafecito is pulling a little bit white on my lids. Taking a clean fluffy brush, we're going to dip into the shade Matcha. We're going to be applying the shade in Matcha right next to the first shade in Cafecito. Taking a little bit of that shade in Matcha, packing it right next to the shade in Cafecito, and blending it toward the crease. So just like that. So doing the same thing on the other eye. Taking a flat brush, we're going to dip into the shade Blonde Roast. We're going to be applying the shade in Blonde Roast all over the lid. I'm actually going to be applying that shade right next to the shade in Matcha, that green shadow. This wasn't the look I was going for, but it'll work. Taking a smaller brush, we're going to dip into the shade Frappe. We're going to be applying that shadow in our inner corner. Here's what the eyeshadow looks like. We're not done yet. We're going to be using the shade in Strawberry Milk and applying that on my cheek. Taking my Lisa Frank brush, we're going to be using that as my blush brush. I do love the pan size on these eyeshadows. That way my blush brush can fit right into it. Taking the blush on the apples on my cheeks. Wow, this is so pigmented. Definitely go in with a light hand. I'm going to be taking my damp beauty blender. We're going to go over it. Highlighter, we're going to take the shade in Drizzle and apply that on my cheekbones. A little bit of the shade in Drizzle goes a long way. Shadow is blinding. Applying it to my nose and a little bit on my forehead. For mascara, I'm going to be taking the Dior Plump and Volume. For lips, I'm going to be using my Wet n Wild Mega Lash lip color in the shade Cinnamon, but then later on I decide to use Mochalicious. My final thoughts on the Dominique Cosmetics Latte 2 eyeshadow palette is that I do like the shadows that I did use. I'm not completely obsessed with this eyeshadow palette. There are 3 shades in this eyeshadow palette that I did not use on my face. That was in the shade Frothy, Iced Coffee. There are 2 shades in this eyeshadow palette that I did not like. It was the first shade in Frothy and Cafe Con Leche. Frothy was very white base. than that, I really did enjoy this eyeshadow palette. If you guys did enjoy this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe. I will see you guys in my next video.